Welcome to American Christian or Christian American. If you would hit that subscribe button so you can get my videos easier, and also hit that like button, it helps to spread the videos around. Today we're going to be talking about something perhaps a little different. I'm going to start out just with paraphrasing the story of Noah's Ark found in Genesis chapter 6. Many people are familiar with Noah's Ark, and there might be many who are not, or maybe you've just heard a little bit about it but don't know the details. But the details are not as important as a concept I want to bring out from it. God had found out that the earth had become so wicked that every thought of mankind was always evil all the time. So God decided he was going to destroy the earth and wipe every living thing off the face of the earth. But his eyes found favor on Noah and his family, Noah's wife, Noah's 3 sons, and their wives, 8 in all. This is where all of us come from after the destruction of the earth. After Adam and Eve, it was narrowed down to Noah and his 3 sons. We talked about it before, Ham, Japheth, and Shem. So God saved mankind through a large ark. God gave Noah directions how to build the ark. He told him to use cypress wood. He told him how long it should be. He told him how wide it should be. He told him how tall it should be. To make a roof, use pitch. To make a door. And then eventually he told him that he was going to take 2 of each kind of animal aboard the ark. Now, of course, there are many different variations on species today. So there wasn't all those variations. There is a truth to evolution and the point that species can be divided up and change and stuff like that. And of course, anything that lived in the water didn't really need to go in the ark. They could survive in the water. But the point is that God could have saved them and they would have been saved. God could have made an ark like that. But he didn't. God gave Noah directions on how to build this ark, which took him years to build. What kind of wood and the exact measurements. But it says that God saved them. He did. Without the information on how to build it, without the information on what the dimensions would be, without the specific type of wood, which was okay in water, cypress. It was also called gopher wood at one time in translations. And they used to do the measurements in cubits, but the New International Version, which I'm using, uses feet. So it was converted. But God gave them the directions, but Noah still had to build it. And what I'm trying to bring across today is that God has the power to do things instantaneously. But in many ways, that would have less meaning to us. And so God gives us directions how to go towards the salvation that he has for us. In other words, that we have a role to play in our own salvation. It doesn't mean that we're saving ourselves. It means that it takes an active response. It also means that when things are to be solved in this world, it takes us responding to it. God can lead us. We pray to God. He gives us directions. He may give us ideas and thoughts in our head of what we need to do. But even though he does that, he still expects us to take a role in it. For example, God shows his love to us by sending Jesus to die upon the cross. But our response is to accept that and to go out and teach others. In other words, he loves us, but he expects us to love others. And by loving others is part of the way that we learn to love God. We please God. We reach out towards God because we also reach out towards others. Now, as long as we don't put others over God. But the idea is that God's love has to flow through us. A river isn't active unless it flows from its beginning until its ultimate end, where it dumps into the ocean. And many other rivers flow into it. It draws other rivers to go down the main channel together. So does everything that we do. If we plan to make changes in this world, we have to be an active participant in it. We cannot just be on the sidelines. In fact, if you consider ground zero right here, this is making an active choice. Anywhere along the spectrum, from a few small things to much bigger choices, and then from here is neutral, doing nothing, and then going to be a choice in the opposite direction. In other words, that if you are going to you live in this society, this American society, and this society has indoctrinated us with racism. We've been indoctrinated with it. And there are a lot of people who choose to sit on the sidelines and do nothing. Well, if you choose to be on the sidelines and do nothing because your life is too comfortable, you have chosen to do the opposite of what we need to do, and that is to support white supremacy and other ways that people are hurt. You say, no, I'm not supporting it. Yes, you are. If you are not doing something to go against it, you are supporting it. Okay? Just like our spiritual life with God, that we have to be doing something actively to support God's word and the principles of God of loving and caring for other people. If we're not doing that, we are aiding and abetting going against God. You're either for God or against God. There is no in between. You say, well, I just don't go for that. Well, then you are supporting against God. The same thing goes for racism in this country. You see, this country has been indoctrinated from day one. Children are indoctrinated in how great America is. And this is what America is. That white people are supreme and that other people are not. In many ways, it's become subtler than it used to be, but it's still there. From early childhood, we're indoctrinated with it. And if we don't do nothing, that indoctrination rules us. And we believe ridiculous ideas that white people are superior and others are not. And even if you say, well, I don't really believe that, but I'm not going to really do anything about it. You are doing something about it. You are supporting the racist agenda because your neutrality allows you to be uneducated in what the problem is. And if you're uneducated in what the problem is, many of your choices go to aid in abetting it. One, you may vote for people on what I call bait issues. They put an issue out there, it's like a bait on a hook for a fish. The fish isn't going for the hook, it goes for the bait. But once the fish bites down on the bait, it's hooked. And it's part of being caught. When you vote for particular issues only and don't understand that there's a hook there, that there's something else really behind all of this, to really realize what the agenda really is. And even though the bait issue might be something that you believe in, realize that there's much more behind the baited issues. And every politician, even good politicians, they're going to put forth certain issues at times because they want those things. Now, sometimes a good politician will really tell you what's going on, but others are going to use those baited issues, but they have a different agenda. All right? So if we are going to change this system, we have to understand what we're doing. Another way that we are playing a neutral role is when you are neutral, you don't really learn things and you don't understand things. You don't pay attention to things. And so you say, well, it's in the past. I wish they'd just get over it. When it's happening every day. In fact, recently we've seen more. Not because it's gotten worse. Well, it has, but most of it's not because it's gotten worse, but because it's being caught on camera, which it didn't get caught on camera before. So you're seeing more of it. But it's been going on all the time. Now, I do say that since the election of Donald Trump, more people have been given more boldness to it. But they've thought this way all along. more people are saying that they is justifying them. When Donald Trump in his second term here pardoned all the January 6 people, an he gave them a boost to continue with their racist agenda. In fact, to escalate it. So it's not that their thought process was changed to make them worse. It's that the opportunities for them to treat people with disrespect and dehumanizing them has just been encouraged. Donald Trump didn't create racist people. Racist people brought up Donald Trump, and Donald Trump gave them the okay, the stamp. And he has also done other things to make things worse. You can't be neutral. Now, I'd like to joke about a particular comment about being neutral. People will come up to me when I'm just thinking about different things and I'm not really, they'll say, you know that it takes more muscles to frown than it does to smile? And I would respond with the idea, well, I'm using less than that. My face is in neutral. And they would just laugh and shrug it off. And really, I wasn't trying to frown, but the idea in many cases like that is, in pretty much, I don't know about that, because again, I wasn't frowning, I was just thinking. But in most situations, there is no neutrality. There is a line, and you can't stand on the line because you're going to fall off in one direction or the other. And usually, you have to make an active choice to go for the positive. You're going to fall off in a negative direction. Neutrality, you become the excuse for the evil that goes on in this country. You play this neutral role, you're saying that it's just not that important to me. And by saying it's not that important to me, you are encouraging everything that happens. When you try to go for your comfortability, guess what? That's white privilege. Because white people don't have to worry about this stuff. I mean, there is some oppression that spills over, but they don't really have, they can get along. And maybe because the society is more for white people, where African Americans and other groups of people are targeted by the system. Well, you're white, you can just ignore it. That's called white privilege, along with the idea of getting into other things. But the idea that you can ignore it because you're white, you don't have to really worry about it, that's white privilege. Other people have to worry about it because the target is on their back. They're the ones that much harder to get down. I get it. There are poor white people. Yes. But they're smaller in those groups of people, and still a poor white person doesn't have as bad as a poor black person. You say, well, I do. There are a few people who go through major issues. But we're not talking about individuals here as much as we're talking about groups. And yes, there are successful African Americans. They had to work much harder than the white counterparts to get where they were. Okay, because African Americans have so many disadvantages put in front of them. Well, I don't see it. That's white privilege. The fact that you don't see it, you don't have to see it, and you don't want to see it, that's white privilege. That's what it is. So if you choose to do nothing, you choose not to care. And if you're supposed to be a Christian, you cannot care if you really are a Christian. If you're a Christian, you have to choose to do something. Well, I don't know what to do. Do something. Learn something. Ask questions to people. Talk to different people. Be sincere and ask them what they have to go through. Don't do it sarcastically. Don't do it in a way where they think, well, he doesn't really want to know or she doesn't really want to know. Do it honestly. And do it honestly. I mean, people can tell whether or not you're sincere or, when they talk to you, when you're trying to understand something. I mean, we can't tell completely with people, but we can get an idea. And if you go up to different people, one of the things I've said is you can perhaps go visit a black church. Oh, I don't know if I could attend a black church. Well, you can visit if you really are sincere. And go up and talk to the minister. Say you go to this church here, but you've been wanting to try to learn. And ask them if they can hook you up with some different people you can sit down and talk with that minister, a few other people. Tell them you want to talk to a few different people and get perspectives to start to understand people. If you don't want to do that, contact different agencies, NAACP or whoever else you can to find African Americans that you can sit down and talk to, people you meet on the bus, people you meet different places. Go out of your way to meet different people and talk to them and how you can meet with them and ask questions. Tell them you're trying to break down those barriers and understand. Watch videos on TV of different African American shows or talking about injustice. Open your mind up to stop dismissing people, because white people do that. Oh, they're just oversensitive. Really? No, you're undersensitive. You don't care enough. And that's what the problem is here. Are you going to start caring? Are you going to start thinking it's not just about me, that all people matter, that we are in this together? When will we do that? We are all created by God. We are all special, and we're supposed to care about each other. But this country has done a disservice to not caring about individuals because the color of their skin, because they don't fit in with our agenda. Well, if they don't fit in with our agenda, guess what? You have the wrong agenda. You need God. And if you pursue God, then you need to pursue other people. Now, there are people who aren't going to do right. Some of you can't do nothing about that. But stop looking at people just because of the way they look. Try to approach people. If they turn away from you, you can't control that. But are you doing your part? Because there is no neutral gear when it comes to these types of things. A car can be put in neutral. Perhaps a frown, a smile thing can be in neutral, perhaps. But the decisions in society, especially when you think about God, are one way or the other. If you choose not to do anything, you will be part of the problem. If you choose to be part of the solution, you have to do something. Maybe you can't do as much as Fred and Penny, but are you doing something? And usually people who do more didn't start with more. They started with something. Now, I'm not saying you will go off and be the biggest activist out there, but are you doing something? Do you say something? Do you respond to people in some way that does not accept what they put out there? Do you make decisions upon what you do, like voting or anything else, based on having the whole picture? I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm telling you to make decisions well educated, well thought out, not the spur of the moment, not just listen to the crowd who happens to look like you or act like you or live where you live. But are you making a personal, educated decision? This society in many ways claims individuality. In some ways that's very harmful, but in other ways they aren't that individual in the sense that they follow the leader of whichever group you feel more comfortable in. It starts in schools. People who pick on people, and then the people gravitate towards what they appear to be the stronger group. People don't know how to stand up and be an individual person because they're afraid to, because they might be picked on, looked down upon, and called different names. But look at the way people who have a different skin tone than white people do, who look different, they don't have a choice. They are different whether they want to be or not. And they shouldn't be ashamed of being different. They are who God created them to be. Now, sin is something we have to correct, yes. But the very fact of who they are, the way they look, that's who God created them to be. Until the next time on American Christian or Christian American.